Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Compact Everyday Carry and Gadgets. And today we're going to be going over a few firearms that I'm actually going to be swapping out my home defense, which is the Glock 19X MOS, and I might be switching over to one of these two. But let's just go through why I'm deciding or why I'm considering it, and what are the things to look for a perfect home defense firearm. Now, the Glock 19X, like I said, is my current home defense firearm. And why? Because I trust Glock. The 19X platform gives you a longer grip, which I actually prefer, and you also get more round capacity. It's the Glock brand, so you get the Glock reliability, which we all love and definitely need for important situations like home defense. And of course, when you're considering a home defense, it's very important to have a firearm that allows you to have everything you might need in a situation. Of course, home defense situations could happen day or night, but for the most part, a lot of times it will happen at night. So it's important to have a rail so that you can mount a weapon light. Right here, I got the oat light. And of course, if you have the options to run a red dot, that's also beneficial, especially if you're out in the range training with a red dot. Your home defense should also have a red dot so that you could be perfect with that. Right here, as you can see, I also have a base plate that gives me an extra 4 rounds. So right here, we have a nice and capable firearm for home defense with a good amount of rounds. And you have, like I said, the option to run the light, which I think is crucial for home defense. And of course, the red dot. And the cool thing about here, you could also run a can on the 19X MOS, which is also something to consider if you want to have a firearm for home defense. I think having a can in the front is always a plus as well. Yes, it adds a little more bulk to the firearm, which another thing that I have to point out, a very important reason that choosing the right firearm for home defense is because you want something that's going to be comfortable and that's going to have you performing to the best of your abilities. And how you perform to the best of your abilities, aside from the firearm being reliable, you train with it, but you also want it to be comfortable and just want it to be perfect for you and for your hands. I think it's very important the way that a firearm feels in the palm of your hands, how it feels when you grip it, making sure it just feels right and it gives you that confidence you need in a situation. So why am I considering swapping over? You guys follow the channel. The channel is all about compact firearms. And now with today's technology and the firearms that all these great companies are coming out with, you're getting smaller sizes, but the round capacity is increasing. So the smaller the gun is getting doesn't mean you're getting less rounds. You're actually getting more rounds than previously. It would be the smaller the firearm, the less capacity it would hold. But now things are changing. Now you could get smaller firearms with great round capacity. And I actually prefer a smaller firearm just because for me personally, it just feels better in my hand, feels way more comfortable, and I can manage it better as far as if you have to struggle, run, dodge, throw yourself on the floor. Considering everything that could go wrong in a home defense situation, I want something that I can manipulate and handle easily without any issues. So that is why I'm looking into the SIG P365X and the CANIK METE MC9 Prime. Like I said, these are both smaller than the Glock 19X, and we will be doing some size comparisons so you guys can see. Because the first thing I want to make sure is I'm not saying that one is better than the other. These are all just options, and what might feel good to me might not feel good to the next person. What might feel great to me might feel horrible in the other person's hands. So it's all subjective. These are just options to consider and to look at. But yeah, first let's look at since I've had this for a little longer, is the SIG P365X. Now, I was able to collab with Tyrant CNC, so they sent me over some great things that converted this to even a better firearm. Right off rip, when you get this out the box, you'll get like a 12 round capable on the SIG P365X. But here, Tyrant CNC sent out this awesome lower frame, which has 17 rounds, a full, and also a full grip, which feels way better. The stippling job is also more a little more aggressive, but feels great in the hand, which is another thing, like I said, to consider: grip and how that gun feels, especially for home defense. And I also have, I believe this is a +2 from also Tyrant CNC, giving me a total of 19 rounds in such a tiny package. Now, another thing I like about the SIG P3, sorry, let me move these out the way. What I like about the P365X is that it is small, but you don't sacrifice in anything. You're gonna have the option to run an optic on top, and you also have a rail to mount a light. Now here I did have to do a little adjusting to get this light to fit on the P365X, but we were still able to do it. And this is the Phoenix GL07. Shout out to Phoenix for sending this over as well. Solid light, built like a tank, and just looks great, feels great, and performs great on this firearm specifically. But yeah, that is why I would consider the P365X. Is the size is very small, very easy to handle, manipulate in any type of situation. If God forbid you have to fight while holding a firearm, you'll be able to manage this a little better than if it's a big firearm that could easily be fought for and snagged off of your hands. This I could manipulate, I could hold it, I could feel very confident keeping this in my hands. It also has a safety. That's not a must, but it's also a good thing considering, like I said, God forbid you're in a fight and you're kind of tussling for the firearm. That gives you another layer of protection, which could also work against you. So this is all subjective and depending how you feel about running a safety on a firearm. Normally when I everyday carry firearms, I do not have the safety engaged. It's always ready to go. But the size is perfect and I'm not sacrificing in capacity. Here with the 19X, yes, we do have a 17 round mag, but we have a +4, which gives you 21 rounds. Pretty sweet. And here we have a 17 round mag with a +2, giving you 19 rounds in a tiny package. Anything I think over 12 and above, I think is more than sufficient for home defense, but why not get more if there's options out there, right? And then here comes the CANIK METE MC9 Prime. Now this is also a solid firearm. From the 3 that are on this table, this is my newest pickup, but I've already had it for a while now. Right out the box, the CANIK METE comes equipped, comes ready, locked and loaded. A perfect solution for everyday carry, but also for home defense, because you do have the options for the optic on top. You have the rail to mount to run a light on it. The trigger is amazing. You'll be getting some nice flat shooting with this trigger. The grip feels great as well. It comes included in the box a mag well, which will help you get those reloads quicker, and it also tightens up that grip, pushing up the arm towards the trigger guard, giving you a nice firm feeling grip on your firearm while shooting, which is awesome. Now the cool thing about the CANIK METE MC9 Prime is that it comes equipped. Like I said, you are going to get ports on the slide and on the barrel itself, and it's just a perfect looking firearm as well. Aesthetically, this is a beautiful looking firearm, which is also awesome. Now right off rip, you do get 17 rounds. Let's just confirm that. So you get 17 rounds on this magazine, which is awesome. Like I said, it's a tiny firearm. Now another main thing that I got to get off before I forget is another thing to consider when wanting to choose the perfect home defense firearm is get a firearm that you didn't have to mess with nothing on the firearm. You didn't mess with the internals. You didn't add things that could interfere with the way that the firearm is supposed to perform and shoot when you needed to shoot. So everything you see here in the firearm is pretty much stock, of course, except for this. But you know that SIG has the way they do it is like little modules. So when you change out the frame in the bottom, you're not really affecting with the way that the gun itself performs, which is why I love SIG's modularity. Is awesome. You could swap things around, change things around, and you're not really tweaking or messing with the internals or messing with the triggers or nothing like that. All 3 firearms that you see on this table are pretty much stock. Like I said, I didn't mess with internals, triggers, nothing like that. Everything is pretty much stock. Yeah, I did switch out these little slide release and stuff, but the internal parts of these have not been messed with, have not been touched. But if you do consider that to be something messing with the internals, then even straight out the box, just leaving these slide stops and mag release and all that to the originals how it came, you could still run that with this grip module, which would work perfectly as well. So that is why these options here I think are very, very good options to take a look at if you're in the market, if you're considering getting a home defense firearm, or if you want looking to swap out whatever you have. But yeah, for me, the most important thing is get something that you don't mess with the internals. Everything is performing as it should. Make sure you always have everything performing correctly, lubricated nicely, so that you don't have nothing messing with you when you need it most, which is also very, very important. Another thing that I think gets ignored a lot is that if you have the option to have your everyday carry be the same exact pistol for your home defense, then I always think that that would be the best combo. If your everyday carry is also your home defense. So that is why I chose these 3, because these 3 are probably top rated for everyday carry, but they're also perfect for home defense. So that is why I am talking about these three, and I think you guys should definitely take a look into these and maybe even consider if you're looking to swap out or looking to get your first home defense firearm. And the reason why I think having your everyday carry be your home defense is very important is because that's probably the gun you're taking out to the range the most. It's probably the one you're shooting the most with, and is the one that has the muscle memory more intact. If you take it out often, you're always taking it on and off and putting it in your holster and all that. It's muscle memory. So in the case of an emergency, you're very familiar and you'll know how to perform with it in the heat of adrenaline running through you and all that kind of stuff. Statistics show that the place where you'll most likely need to use your firearm is in the case of a home invasion or anything like that for home defense. So very important to practice with the firearm that you choose to be your home defense. If it's not your everyday carry already, then make sure you take both to the gun range and practice with both of them. But nonetheless, I think these are great options. Like I said, consider round capacity, consider size, how does it feel in your hand, and of course consider the brand, consider the reliability. If it is your firearm that you've had for a while, I'm pretty sure you've taken it out to the range. If it's something you get a lot of misfires with and malfunctions, then completely remove it from your everyday carry and remove it from your home defense. I for sure don't consider nothing that gives me multiple malfunctions every time I take it to the range. I completely eliminate it from any rotation that I have. It will just be a safe gun where I have because I collect it and maybe have fun adding accessories to it. Other than that, for home defense, things that I trust my life with is firearms that are not giving me any misfires or malfunctions. And these three that you see on the table have been awesome, have been very reliable, and I definitely trust all three with my life so far. Comment down below if I missed any. I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of other options because I know of a bunch, especially anything around the size of the Glock 19. There's going to be a lot of options with huge round capacity that are very popular right now. You guys know I love the Glock 43X MOS, but that you do need to have that magazine from PSA or from Shield to have the 15 rounds. I did hear there's rumors that Glock is going to be releasing a 15 round mag for the Glock 43X MOS. That'll be awesome, and if that's the case, then the Glock 43X is another firearm to consider for home defense because it's very reliable, very comfortable to me in my hands, and I think it's just that perfect size. Now here with these three, the reason I chose these three as well, guys, before we wrap up the video, is that they're all different sizes, like I said, without really sacrificing in round capacity. But if you're the everyday person, here you have three options that are not the same size. So depending the size of your hands, the size of your body, and what feels good to you in your hands, you have options. As you can see, the SIG right here is tiny, but we're rocking with 19 rounds in that magazine. Then you got the CANIK METE MC9 Prime, 17 rounds without a mag extension, without a base plate. If I add a +2 or +3, that would give me the 19 or 20 rounds extra. And here you got the Glock 19X MOS with about 21 rounds, sorry. So that is a perfect selection of options for home defense and everyday carry as well. Of course, you guys follow the channel, you know for everyday carry I prefer very smaller handgun, maybe something like the P365X, maybe not with the longer grip and all that, and this light that extends a little. But for everyday carry, I like things to be a little more compact. That's why I do rock the Bodyguard 2.0 for everyday carry. But for home defense, I don't think you can go wrong with either one of these three. Like I said, they've been very reliable to me, very consistent, very familiar. Once you start taking it out to the range, the performance stays consistent, which is also another key thing to remember and to consider. But that's it for now, guys. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think, and if there's a firearm that you guys think is better than any of the three you see here on the table. Let me know down in the comments so I could try to get my hands on them and talk about it in the channel and kind of put them up against any one of these three. I think that'll be cool. So yeah, comment down below if you have any questions about any specific questions about any of the firearms here on the table. Ask them down below as well. I'll try to get back to you guys. But that's it for now, guys. Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe. Also, hype up the channel, hype up the video, subscribe to the channel. But that's it for now, guys. Compact everyday carry and gadgets. God bless.